Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to be looking at the McFarlane DC Multiverse Rebirth Man-Bat action figure. This guy is part of the newest assortment of McFarlane Megafigures, both Killer Croc and Man-Bat. Really excited for this guy. McFarlane does an excellent job at monster and creature type action figures. This guy is right up their alley. In addition to that, he's a modern, comic-accurate Batman Rogue to add to the Rogues Gallery. Can't wait to open him up. This guy's in stock at GameStop.com right now. If you want him, go ahead and grab him. So let's go and check out the packaging. As you can see, ages 12 plus, DC Multiverse Man-Bat. Here he is in the package. He has no traditional accessories, just a display stand and a collector's card. One side of the pack says Man-Bat from DC's Rebirth comics. Other side simply says Man-Bat. At the bottom, got a bunch of credits, and there is a barcode, in case that helps anybody. And on the back side, here's Man-Bat posed up from the comics. So no further ado, let's open him up. And of course, I did get two of these figures, one of which to open and enjoy, and the other one to keep unopened in my complete Batman-related unopened action figure collection. Alright, now that we got this figure out of the package, here he is with all his accessories laid out. Figure looks fantastic, big, intimidating, strong, fisted, punching arms. It does seem like his wings a little bit small. I realize they're folded up at this moment, but he's not really going to get very good flight poses with these kind of wings, and that's definitely something I want from a Man-Bat figure. But we'll check that out as we dig in deep to the figure. So this is Kirk Langstrom. He's a scientist. I believe he's obsessed with bats, and he sort of turned himself into a Man-Bat. First of all, we have Batman, a man dresses up like a bat, and now we have Man-Bat, a man who has sort of halfway transformed himself to a bat. This is McFarlane Megafigure, so he's definitely bigger than your average McFarlane DC Multiverse figure. We'll check out plenty of comparisons later, but right now, let's look at Man-Bat. Starting with his face here, looks fantastic. It is screaming. You can see his tongue and gums painted, fangs, beady red eyes looking right at you, ears slicked back, good amount of detail there. His fur looks fantastic, sculpting is great, love what I'm seeing here. Now his wings, I just don't really like the fact that they're in this folded position, but I totally get it. I wish we had more than one option here. You can sort of move his arm to expose more of the wing, and that helps a little bit, but his hands, I don't know, to me they're not giving off sort of a flight pose. It just looks like he's a big brute about to punch somebody. Looks like double ball joints in the torso area. Pants, they're ripped. Nice texture on here as well. Belt, it all looks really good. Nice flat feet. I was definitely worried about this guy standing, but his feet are huge. It shouldn't really be a problem. Double jointed knees, single jointed elbows. Overall, looks like 2 thumbs up. Man-Bat here is typically portrayed as a Batman villain. He's also been a Batman hero before. I remember in like the 70s or 80s when they had the Batman family comics, and sometimes he was featured in Detective Comics with his own story. He would be a good guy. I think of him as a villain for the most part, but he can be an anti-hero. I believe in the comics right now, he's a member of Task Force Z, which is another sort of Suicide Squad type team. And just a closer look at his face, or head sculpt. Here's Man-Bat with his wings fully extended. This is the best you're going to get. Should work for a sort of makeshift flying pose, but the fact that his wings are bunched up just doesn't quite do it for me. Fantastic looking figure, but I wish we had more than one option with how his wings would be. Now let's take a look at his accessories. Let's start with the boring stuff. He's got that typical McFarlane display stand, black perfect circle, says DC at the bottom, 1 peg for the peg holes on his feet, very thin, very basic. My guy's ankles, now I wouldn't call them loose, but they're not exactly tight either. He does stand up well now, and I hope he does months from now. As it is right now, he really has no need for the display stand. Now let's look at his collector's card. As you can see, it's an image of Man-Bat from the DC Rebirth comics. I like the fact that they're using the source material instead of just showing a picture of the action figure. Man-Bat from DC's Rebirth. On the back side, there is a description. If you want to read that, go ahead and pause now. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his lack of accessories, although I'm not even sure what exactly accessories he should come with. I mean, some alternate wings would be nice, but if this guy costs $40, they're actually going to throw in some extra wings for no extra price. Now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, he's standing at about 8.9 inches tall, which can translate to about 22.5 centimeters. Now let's look at his articulation. Starting with his head here, of course, can rotate from side to side, can look up and down, a little bit of his head here. Now his mane can also move around, move it with the head, move it separately, rotates around. It's still the same joint though, just has this between. Can really get his head pretty cool around the corners there. It is limited, but I'm pleased with what I got. Now, as far as flight poses go, his head cannot really look up. I don't really feel like he's intended to be in a flight pose. I know I'm beating that dead horse with a stick. Shoulders on a ball joint, goes out more than 90 degrees, up, down, around, all that good stuff. No bicep cut. He does have rotation at the elbow, and it's a single joint, which extends all the way and goes in just about 90 degrees. Ball joint his torso, rotate around, go forward and back. Another ball joint in his waist, rotate around, go forward and back. I do notice that gap in his waist. Very wide range of motion in his torso. It just gives me this sort of boxer vibe with these fists here. Not exactly how I want my man at, but he does look fantastic nonetheless. Legs, almost does the splits, got that far. Not ball joints, but a similar idea. Rotation, it's okay. Forward, about that far. Back, about that much. Double jointed knees. They don't go all the way straight, and they go all the way in. Then his ankles here, they're on that new style, not the ball joints, a lot more seamless. Forward, back, tilt, and rotation above here to articulation. Here's Kirk Langstrom in his laboratory, always working on his experiments. He is obsessed with bats, always doing his experiments on them. He believes they're superior to humans. Over time, he develops a mutagen, and he decides to test it on himself. And then, Man-Bat is born. Around the city of Gotham, there were lots of sightings of a creature that looked like a bat. The police simply blew it off as Batman activity. Little did they know, it was Man-Bat. Here's Man-Bat flying above the skyscrapers of Gotham. Here's Man-Bat perched on top of a rooftop overlooking the city. Batman arrives, confronts Man-Bat on the rooftop. He is shocked with what he's found. Man-Bat quickly gets the upper hand. His brute strength is too much for Batman to handle. Or so Man-Bat believes. Batman always has a trick up his sleeve. He pulls out a tranquilizer and injects Man-Bat. Batman picks up Man-Bat's giant body, throws him over his shoulder, and takes him back to the Batcave. Batman works all through the night at his lab. He's trying to find a reverse antidote for the mutagen. And his efforts were not in vain. An entire night of research and chemistry. He has reversed Man-Bat to Kirk Langstrom. He has cured him. Or so he believes. Now let's check him out, next to some other action figures. Starting off with some other Man-Bat figures. Here's the McFarlane comic Man-Bat, next to the DC Direct Arkham Knight video game Man-Bat. A very impressive figure, and kinda creepy. And here, next to the DC Direct Batman the Animated Series Man-Bat. Then, next to the DC Direct Rogues Gallery Man-Bat. And here, with the Mattel DC Universe Classics Man-Bat. Then, next to the older Kenner Batman Legends of the Dark Knight Man-Bat. Here's his McFarlane Man-Bat, next to all of my DC Direct and DC Collectibles Man-Bat figures. Then, next to my Mattel Man-Bat figures. And here, next to some Kenner Man-Bat figures. Here he is, next to a custom Francine Langstrom. That's Kirk Langstrom's wife. I got this thing a long time ago. Now let's check him out, next to a couple of figures that I keep with my Man-Bat figures. They're not Man-Bat, but I fudge them in on my Man-Bat shelf. Here he is, next to the NECA Gremlins Bat Gremlin. And here, next to the Mattel DC Multiverse Bat Creature from Batman vs. Superman. Here are all of my different Man-Bat figures. I didn't realize he'd gotten so much toy love over the years. I used to have him on a shelf, but then there became too many. Then I had him hanging upside down on another sort of shelf. And then I had too many. I don't actually have a home for these guys right now. Gotta figure something new out. Here's Man-Bat, next to a Batman in sort of Man-Bat armor. Maybe he's mutated. It's really not very clear. He's from the Mattel Power Attack line. Now let's check him out, next to some other McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is, next to the other Megafigure in his wave. This is the Arkham Asylum version of Killer Croc. Man-Bat is from the comics. Killer Croc is from the video games. Looking at Man-Bat, I feel like he is a little bit too big. Then, next to McFarlane's previous assortment of Megafigures, this is the Arkham Asylum Titan Joker and the Rebirth Clayface. Before that, they made a Swamp Thing figure, and there are 3 different variations. And before Swamp Thing, they had the gold label version of the Suicide Squad King Shark Megafigure. But McFarlane's first Megafigures were from Zack Snyder's Justice League, Darkseid, and Steppenwolf. Here are all the different McFarlane DC Megafigures they've made so far, and I can't wait to see what's next. Here are all of the modern comic Batman villains McFarlane has made so far. Can't believe it's only these 4. You can sort of fudge Deathstroke and Bane into your comic villain collection, but honestly, Deathstroke's from the video games, and Bane is from a what-if, non-canon story. Here he is, next to some comic Batman figures. Then, with some more McFarlane comic Batman figures, and with some Batman figures from different various forms of media. Now let's check him out, next to some Megafigures from other McFarlane lines. Here he is, with the Witcher Megafigures, the Ice Giant, the Kikamora, and the Horse. And here, with McFarlane's Spawn Megafigures, Violator, Cygor, and Overkill. Then, next to the McFarlane Princess Bride Fezzik figures. Now let's check him out, next to some action figures from different various companies, to see how he fits in both scale and style-wise, in case you want to know which lines you can mix him with. This Man-Bat is a large, overgrown monstrosity. Since he's a McFarlane figure, they're typically the 7-inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the larger action figure lines I collect, and work way smaller. But first, let's check him out with some of his McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale. Then, with some more McFarlane Toys, these are from different various video game properties. And now, next to some Jack-specific wrestling figures. And here he is, next to some DST or Diamond Select toys. Then, next to some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures. And here, next to some NECA figures. Then, next to some Mattel wrestling figures. And now, next to some Jazzwares AEW wrestlers. And here he is, next to some Mezco 1/12 collective figures. Then, next to some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. And here, with some Megafig figures. Then, next to some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And here he is, next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. And finally, next to some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. Overall, this action figure is absolutely fantastic. The detail is great. Articulation could be a little better. The ankles, I wish they were a little tighter. It's not really an issue, but I could see it becoming one. The negatives about Man-Bat, I would say, when looking at him, he looks more like a brute boxer than a flyer, and that works for some versions of Man-Bat. But I do like my Man-Bat to be able to fly through the air, and this one here is lacking the wings to do that. I also feel like he's a little bit too big. Don't misunderstand me, it's actually really cool. He's big, massive, intimidating. But next to Batman, I feel like he's a little bit too large. Now, the scale thing is also pretty cool. He's a large monster figure. He can work with a bunch of different scales of action figures as a huge monstrosity. His accessories are non-existent. Sculpt and paint job are just fantastic. 2 thumbs up, no issues there. His articulation, it's good, but I would like a little bit more from the elbows, and I would like a little bit more from the knees. This guy just looks awesome and ferocious, and I love it. If I were to rate this guy, I'm going to give him a very strong 8.5 out of 10. I mean, look at this guy. He's terrific. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.